This is what I mean when the transphobia just comes out. The audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods. You don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person. But as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like, hello?
I mean, I say I'm a trans woman because objectively I'm more than a trans woman. Like, that's probably the closest thing in this human existence that I would feel comfortable at, identifying as. But even that isn't good enough for who I really am in my being. And I don't care if you guys call me a man. I've been getting called a man since I started this platform, like almost 3 years ago. My mom still calls me a man. My girl, like, none of that matters to me because my mom's perception, you guys' perception doesn't drive me. It's my own perception, because at the end of the day, a lot of you bitches still have childhood trauma to work from. You still have a whole bunch of just issues, internal issues to deal with. So it's like, why would I put so much stock in what you do and what you say and how you see me? You can call me a man, you can call me whatever you want. It doesn't bother me, because at the end of the day, I know what I am, and only my definition matters. A lot of people are just upset that I'm fucking at their programming.
We are women, and trans women are trans women. Stop trying to push your shit on others and not transphobic, BTW. No, we are not cis women, period.
While everyone is in an uproar about who can bleed and who can't, men have become so obsessed with women that they want to turn into one. And I find it quite flattering that womanhood seems so great to you guys. Y'all know me, you may not like what I gotta say, but I'm gonna say it anyways. In recent conversation, there's been a lot of uproar between trans women and real women. In my opinion, I think the most misogynistic thing that a man can do is reject his biology as a man and go into women-dominated spaces telling other women how he's a better woman than them, because it's based off of his feelings of how he perceives a woman to be, while walking in society emulating what he believes a woman looks like by replicating other women. When we're discussing womanhood, I cannot go to another woman and ask her what it feels like to be a woman, because being a woman is not a feeling. However, being a woman, I absolutely am subjected to my reproductive organs that identify me as a woman. And saying that doesn't mean that I'm less than a woman. It just means that is the beginning of my woman origin and my woman experience. And for the women who can't have a baby, we still recognize those women as women because they do have the reproductive organs to do so. However, we also understand that something is medically wrong with them. I will give credence to the fact that women are not the only people who have a period if we're identifying them that way, because non-binary people or trans men actually can also have a period, but at the basis of it, we call those biological women. However, when you're talking about trans women, we understand that is something that biologically impossible you cannot do. The power struggle here that comes into play is when there is a very small minority of people imposing onto a larger group of people that are telling them what they would like to be called, how they would like to be treated, how they would like to be pronounced, and how they would like to be identified. But then you're imposing terminology onto them that they have yet to accept. So I must appease your feelings, calling you by the pronouns that you identify with as, because you have chosen to make this decision about putting on a wig and putting on nails and putting on a dress. However, when I tell you I reject terms like birthing person or breastfeeder or real woman or biological woman or cisgendered woman, at this point, then I should just understand and accept it because science says so. But science also says that the basis of your DNA, you are biologically a male. So why are we not listening to science all the way across the board? Seems a little hypocritical to me. And since everyone has such an issue with understanding just hilarious, let me go ahead and put my cape on, because I think I could break it down for you a little bit more. It's very disingenuous for you to overshadow that woman's feelings in regards to her womanhood when she actually has given birth to a baby, which biologically that does make her a woman. However, you decided to discuss her looks and says that she looks like a trans person, while you're also attempting to advocate for trans people. It's getting inherent transphobia. Also, to resurface the interview where she's relaying her experience of a man DMing her thinking that she was a trans woman to have sex with her probably offended her, because she's an actual woman, and it should be more of a slight to trans people considering the fact that that person has a fetish. It just wanted to sexualize you and use you as an inanimate object. As a Black woman, we have to be extremely mindful of how we attach ourselves to other intersectional groups when it comes to their issues, because we're always the first to remind people nobody respects us and nobody protects us, but we're the first to jump into the line of fire fire when other people need a defense. So here's a few things to remember when you're talking allyship. They're always present when it's time to give the tea or bash heterosexual men and amplify any bad experience that we've had in regards to our relationship issues. But anytime it's time to help these children and provide for them or be a better role model or even your protection, they are nowhere to be found. Not saying that there is an agenda, but I will say for a very small group of people who seem to not have any effect on anybody, when their issues come up in conversation, they're making a huge ruckus, and their representation comes at the basis of overshadowing other marginalized people. Quite flat.
So if you haven't watched our video yet, please go watch it, because she literally broke this down so respectfully that, like, if I was on the opposing side, I would have felt like she just read me my rights, like from top to bottom, in so many words that I can't even fathom right now. And yes, I wholeheartedly agree with everything she just said. No, I do not feel any type of way against trans people. But I will say everything she said in this video was correct. Take it how you want it. Sorry. Love y'all. Night-night.
When the transphobia just comes out, the audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods. You don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person. But as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like, hello?
First off, I want to say, yes, we do own womanhood. We were born women. We were born girls, to young ladies, to women. Yes, we own this. We were born with titties. We was born with parts that you don't have that you wish you had. You know, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm gay myself. But it's a lot of things that I agree with and I don't agree with. In this video, I do not agree with. It makes it hard to be part of the LGBTQ community because the stuff that they're trying to take away from women is just not right. Like, y'all don't want women to be on tampons and pads no more, changing the bathrooms to sports. You're trying to mix sports because you don't think there should be a gender. I mean, we own this. We are women. We came out this way. You're trying to get this way. So please don't disrespect us women. That's all I gotta say.
For cis women to believe that they own periods.
If gender ideology activists actually believed, as they claim, that gender and sex are entirely different, and that womanhood has nothing to do with biology, we would not keep having this conversation. Now, I strongly oppose to being called a menstruator or a uterus owner, but you 100% have to have a menstruating uterus to have a period. And trans women do not have a uterus. So why are some so insistent that they can have a period when they obviously cannot? Because even they realize that womanhood being a feeling makes absolutely no sense. Because they require the word woman to be linked to biology for the term to have any meaning whatsoever. If they actually believed that woman is a gender which is totally separate from sex and has nothing to do with biology, then they would not be opposed to the statement that trans women cannot get periods, which is a biological experience.
Believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood.
And do, because for you to think that womanhood is an experience is lousy. Bitch, this ain't Six Flags. This ain't Disney World. This ain't even SeaWorld. This is real life. And being a woman is not an experience. It's my lifestyle. It's what I do while living every single day. However, if y'all want to sit up here and say we're gatekeeping periods, sound crazy. You can have it. And every goddamn thing that comes with that motherfucker. The cramps, the bloating, the headaches, the nausea, the motherfucking cravings, bitch, the mood swings, and the amazing bleeding. If you think we're gatekeeping that shit, we want to keep it to ourselves, by all means, take it.
It doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like,
Genuine question, and you bitches don't fight me because I know how y'all love to tussle. But how do biological women gatekeep their natural bodily functions? Especially when they're bodily functions that you will never experience regardless of how much you transition. And all that aside, what is this natural disdain that y'all have for the community that you claim to identify with and want to become a part of? Because I've seen and known plenty of women who transition into men, and regardless of all the flaws that we know that the male community can have, they don't just go out of their way to disparage and degrade and attack the community that they claim to love and identify with. They just surround themselves with men who they look up to and who they hope to emulate and be like once they transition. But it's like when men transition into women, it automatically becomes this competition of like, who's better at being a woman, who does it better. And I honestly find it disgusting because I feel like women have been the most open-minded and accepting of the trans community, and all we've gotten in return is being told where we can step the fuck off at. And regardless of how much you claim to identify with and be a woman, feeling as though you reserve this special right to get to tell women when they need to sit down and shut the fuck up is a very misogynistic male point of view. And I think it just really goes to show that regardless of how much makeup you wear, how many dresses you put on, or how much estrogen you take, the misogyny will follow some of you throughout your entire life.
You know, I've always known that drag and transgender, you know, it wasn't spoken about when I was younger because, you know, a lot of that had to be hidden. It just was that it was what it was. So the moment that trans people, gay people, lesbian people, studs, all of these different types of genders came out, I will say, I was happy because I was like, you know what, the world's changing a little bit. It's starting to accept stuff. But now it's becoming a problem. Like, I'm glad you get to be out your shell. I'm glad that science has made it so far that you no longer have to be uncomfortable with your preference of what you look like when you look in the mirror. You can finally be happy. But you trans men are starting to really lose me at this thinking you can have a period, you can do this. Like, y'all just as bad as lab meat. What do you mean? I don't get it. That's like saying processed meat is a real meat. No, it's not. The animal that was alive and just died is real. The lab just put some things on a beaker and started mixing and made chicken. Okay, see how it don't make no sense? It don't make no sense. The only way to get pregnant as a transgender, let's be real, is if you were a woman and went to a man. And that is because you still have all your woman organs to do that. For a man, which we have not seen yet, any things that's been on the internet where it's been a man getting pregnant, it was a hidden lining that they were trans. They just didn't get that bottom part snapped. And if they did, it probably would just be a C-section. But they were legally born a woman. I have yet to see science say a man can have a period. Like, what, we don't want to own it. Like, no woman is happy that 4 to 5 days out of the week, they can't do shit and they're in pain. Nobody wants that. That's like having pain in your side for a week and can't figure out what the hell's going on. Except we know what it is. I love that y'all get to open up, but it's like at some point you really have to come back to reality that let me stop stepping on cis women's toes. And I don't even like using cis women. It's women. Toes. And making them feel uncomfortable.
Hold on. Because what? Yeah, I just got off work, got out the shower. So this is what y'all about to get, because I am in denial all right now. I'm about to be painfully blunt and honest. That's exactly what it means. And I'm about to get on here. Never thought I'd see the day I'd be telling my business on social media, but I mean, F it. It's me. I'm the one that be having stuff shooting out of them like Pokeball. I said in some cases because I didn't even want to out myself, but it's me. I also am the one that had a camera shoved inside of them because for the life of me, none of my doctors could figure out why my cramps were so severe. Spinal pain, back pain, stomach pain, underboob pain, pelvic pain. The bottom of my butt cheeks hurt. I'm like 100% sure Thanos is putting his fist where the sun doesn't shine. And I'm not talking about the front. I'm talking about the back. I am not exaggerating this. This is what it really feels like. So now, for the past 6 or 7 years, I've had to pop Tylenols, ibuprofen 800s, muscle relaxers like Pez candies out of the dispenser. Now, the last video, I was trying to be respectful because I'm like, nobody knows anybody's experiences. But y'all not about to sit up here and do this. I remember one day in particular, and this day was maybe no more than 3 months ago. I'm in my living room, minding my business. The cycle just started. I'm about to tell even more of my business because I ain't no business sitting up here watching 2 episodes of Siesta Key back to back. That's my guilty pleasure. But like I said, we about to get real candid. 2 episodes equals 2 hours, right? I have an 8-hour overnight pad on. Went straight through it in 2 hours. Went straight through it. So long story short, past year had me thinking, like, man, I might be interested in having kids. I'll be 30 soon. Decided to take a fertility test. So, long story short, have PCOS. So it's going to be a little bit harder for me to have a kid if I can have one at all. But that's besides the point. I finally get a diagnosis after this long period of time of trying to figure out, why does it feel like I'm about to die every time my cycle comes? Why am I exhausted? Why have I gained so much weight? Why have I gone 4 dress sizes up? This is not transphobic. This is real. You're talking about harmful. Y'all are being so dismissive to biological born women, trying to downplay what we really go through. Y'all go through stuff too, but the whole downplaying and trying to compare and contrast, you can't.
Own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't.
I would just want to genuinely understand why we're not seeing the same issue between trans men and biological men. Is it because trans men were once women, so they're more sensitive and empathetic, and trans women were once men, so like the misogyny comes with them to feel like even though they're a woman now, they feel like they can tell biological women how to act, how to talk, what we're supposed to do, like control us all over again? I don't know if it's because maybe biological men don't really take trans men seriously, and we as biological women have made the mistake of trying to be so inclusive that they feel like they can take it over now.
Asked me this question 2 years ago, I would have said yes. I would say yes, I do get a period as a transgender woman. But now that I've matured more and my brain has developed more, I've realized the answer is simply no. No, trans women do not get periods, babe. But let me explain why I used to think that I did have a period. So basically, many trans women, myself included, do hormone replacement therapy. So I take estrogen, which is the female hormone, on a daily basis. And we take estrogen for the side effects. It gives you more breast tissue, more fat in your face. We take it for the feminizing side effects. And since we take all these female hormones, it kind of tricks our bodies into thinking that we have a female reproductive system, when we don't. So with this, a lot of trans women will also get period-like side effects from the hormones. So you might get mood swings or appetite changes or abdominal cramps sometimes. And I used to see that as like my period, when my hormones were out of whack. But really, it's just like a hormonal imbalance from the hormones, of course. And I don't know, I was just really at a point in my life that I just so desperately wish that I was born female that calling it my period just felt so affirming and felt so euphoric for me. Yeah. But over these past few years, I've really come to terms with the fact that, babe, I'm trans. It's okay. I'm fucking trans. And really just ever since I've come to terms with the fact that as a trans woman, there are just certain things that I will never be able to do. And coming to terms with the fact that I was not born female, my mental health has improved so much. That's just the way it is. And I've accepted that. Oh, and another thing that helped change my perspective on this is getting bottom surgery. So I had sex reassignment surgery. I have a vajayjay, but I do not have a uterus or ovaries. So I don't menstruate. I don't bleed, obviously. Like, babe, ever since having the surgery, I've just realized how high maintenance it is to have a cooter cat. Like, anyone who is not born female, you do not realize how easy you have it, babe. Like, it is so high maintenance. And I just can't imagine having like uterine cramps and bleeding like on top of all the shit that I already have to do with her. And I've heard all the horror stories of people who deal with like severe PCOS and all that stuff. So like, to everyone who's born female and who does have to deal with that, kudos to you, bitch, because even my custom cooter cat be wearing me out sometimes. So yeah, I just wish everyone would stop arguing about this on the internet. To all my trans girls out there who are so adamant about having a period, I hope one day y'all realize that it's just simply not the truth. And it's okay. It's okay to realize that and to accept who we are.